Hey guys, it's Mia here, and welcome back to a new book review. Now, I know I did one of these recently, but that was kind of an unscheduled thing where a friend of mine wanted me to read a comic book, and we decided to review it together. So, this is a book that I waited for a year to come out, and that is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemler. Forgive me if I mispronounce her last name. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Now, if you don't know, A Vow So Bold and Deadly is actually the third book in the Cursebreaker series, starting with A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Now, I have already reviewed both A Curse So Dark and Lonely and A Heart So Fierce and Broken, so if you want to watch those, I will put those here in the iCard, and you can find the other videos there, along with other bookish videos of mine if you want to. So, of course, this is going to contain some spoilers for the story, seeing as how this is the third and supposedly final book in the series. Now, I am going to recap you guys, since it has been a while since A Curse So Dark and Lonely came out, but in case you don't know, and you're continuing with this video anyway, A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and we follow this kingdom called the Kingdom of Emberfall, and this girl from our modern times, Harper, who is a girl with cerebral palsy, and she's dealing with a terrible home life because her father made some terrible decisions in order to help her mom with her sickness. And so she has to kind of sneak around and deal with the trouble that her father's choices put her and her brother in. Then one day she gets kidnapped and taken to a land trapped in time by an enchantress, and she was brought there in the hopes of breaking the curse and setting them free of this kingdom trapped in time due to this jealous enchantress who trapped them in the curse. So that's how our story starts. And the first book is basically Harper getting used to living in Emberfall, even though she was kidnapped there, and she starts to not only care for the ones that kidnapped her, but also care for the people, and she ends up staying because her life in Emberfall is better than her life in the modern time DC. So she ends up becoming an impromptu princess there in the world of Emberfall. So the second book kicks off with the fact that Ren found out that his second in command, or his guard commander, was actually his older brother and thus the true heir to the throne of Emberfall. He was just hidden away from the world because he was a mage smith, which is someone that possesses magic. And the kingdom was not too fond of magic, especially Ren, who was of course stuck in this curse due to this enchantress. So Gray did not want the throne, both because he didn't feel he should rule and because he didn't want to step on Ren's tail. So he left Emberfall, but Ren had him dragged back in chains for fear of what Gray would do if he was left to his own devices. He tortured Gray and a boy that Gray had kind of taken under his wing. And then it kind of broke off from there, with Gray leaving the kingdom thanks to Harper, who helped him escape in spite of her love for Ren and in spite of the fact that that could have gotten her in serious trouble for defining the rule of the king, or the crown prince. So that's where our story kicks off, with Gray in the kingdom of Silshallow. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think that's how you say it, but that's where we start off. Gray is in this rival kingdom to Emberfall, and he is in love with the queen now after she killed her mother for the throne. And so she is trying to negotiate peace with Rin and his people, but the Enchantress is not letting that happen because she wants Rin to suffer for all of eternity because he did not want to fall in love with her. She's a little bit on the crazy side. But before we get into everything with that, I want to talk about the characters. Harper's Harper. She's her normal, overly brave, sometimes not very smart, because she gets herself into situations that could easily get her killed. But she is compassionate, she is brave, she is willing to see past people's flaws. And that's where we start out. Now, Harper is much the same she was in the rest of the books, but I feel like she takes a backseat in these books for the rivalry between Ren and Grey, because Ren is terrified of Grey now that he knows he has magic, because he fears that Grey will treat him just as the Enchantress. I'm blanking on her name. Lilith. I don't know how I forgot that. That's the most evil name for an Enchantress. Lilith. But Lilith. So he fears Grey because of what Lilith did. I mean, he was trapped in this curse for not 1 year, not 2 years, but hundreds of years. So he fears anyone with magic. So he is afraid to leave Grey unchecked and afraid to let Grey have this other kingdom under the rightful rule of his crown, because he is the crown prince. He's the older one of the two. He's the second in line for the throne. Therefore, the throne should be his. So, now speaking of Ren, Ren is not in the favor of Harper when the book first starts, because she is very much ticked off at Ren for what he did to both Grey and the boy that was with Grey, Tycho? I don't know how to say his name either. That's the best I got. But he had them both whipped. And when I say whipped, I don't mean like a swat and done. I mean back cut open, nearly died kind of whipped. So that's what Harper helped Grey get away from. And then we find out that Grey is fallen in love with the would-be queen, or the trying to be queen, Liamara of Soul Shallow, and that they are forming a very quick, very cute relationship, even though I know I said I did not like Liamara in the second book, because I felt like her story was thrown in at the last minute for some reason. But I see where she's coming from in this book, and her story became one of the better ones in this book, because I feel like Harper once again took kind of a backseat in this book, and it focused more on Grey and Rin and Liamara. And we focus a lot on Liamara trying to get used to being queen and being a much more gentle queen than her very, very, very authoritarian mother. Like, her mother would have you whipped if you looked at her the wrong way, or have you beheaded if you wronged her. So Liamara is trying to get away from all the harsh punishments. She doesn't want to be that kind of queen. She wants to rule with compassion and with peace and with understanding, not with the edge of a knife. So she struggles with that, and so does her kingdom, because her kingdom is so used to the fact that her mother was this harsh, no-nonsense ruler. She's trying to be better than that, but her kingdom's not letting her. And she has all these assassination attempts on her life, which leaves her very much scarred and with PTSD, which I don't blame her. She was nearly killed 3 times. But, so, we flash back to Rin and Harper. I know I'm jumping around, but that's because the book does. I'm just trying to give you the best synopsis. Now, Rin was very much scared to make a physical connection with another woman because of what happened after he made a physical connection with Lilith, because after he bedded her, he told her to leave because he wasn't in a serious relationship. And that's when Lilith cursed him for this whole entire thing to become a monster season after season, to no matter what he did, he couldn't die. So she would torture him to the point of death, and then heal him, and then do it all over again for hundreds of years. So I get where he's coming from on being afraid of magic, but not everyone is Lilith. So when he finally gives himself to Harper fully, to say things go to hell in a handbasket real quick would probably be an understatement, because Lilith is none too happy that Rin gave it up to another girl. And she goes absolutely ballistic. And Rin was trying to push for peace too, while Harper was trying to talk Rin into making peace with Gray and with Leah. And then they had sex. And that's when Lilith was like, oh, hell no. I don't think so. You're gonna pay for this. Because she's a jealous psychopath. So she ends up obliterating his entire castle. Guards, workers, everything. And Harper's like, holy crap, I have to get out of here. I have to warn someone. I have to do something. And the first person she thinks to come to is Gray, because Gray has protected her, has helped her. She saved Gray from Rin after that beating and risked her life to do it, because that was considered treasonous on her part to free him from Rin's capture. So she thinks she'll be welcome in Silth Shallow with open arms. That is not what she's met with. She's met with being held prisoner, starved, getting infected because she was wounded thanks to Lilith. And then she thinks her best friend in the Royal Guard is dead. And it's just all a big mess. And then when Gray finally does show up because he gets word that Harper is in the kingdom, he treats her very, very coldly. And this is what makes me upset about Gray. Because Gray was always this point of, yes, he was her bodyguard, but he also was the person that started to teach her how to defend herself and how to use a blade and how to throw a blade. And he's the one that got her to open up and showed her that, hey, it'll be okay. And then when she finally comes to him for help after risking her life last book to help him, she's met with a cold shoulder and a hard, scary Gray, as she calls him. And she's like, I'm so confused. I came to you for help thinking I would get it. I've had your back without question anytime you needed it. Not only did I risk my life against Rin to stop him from torturing you and the kid, but I also, multiple times, risked my life against the Enchantress that I had no hope of winning against to protect you and Rin. Why are you treating me so coldly? And it's all because he is afraid of what the kingdom of Silth Shallow will think, because they don't like magic any more than Rin does. And it's just, this girl nearly died to protect you more than one occasion, and you give her the cold shoulder when she shows up for you asking for help? Not asking for help. She shows up nearly freaking dead, infected because she didn't have time to take care of her wounds. And you treat her as if she's gum on your shoe? Like, why? Why? Like, I was hoping you two would be the two that got together, and then you're acting like a cold-shouldered piece of ice block when she shows up asking you for help one damn time. One time when she seriously needed it. And that's how you treat her. And it's not like That's how he starts out treating her. That's how he treats her the whole time. And when they finally acquire a blade that is impervious to magic, and thus able to kill Lilith and Grey, she even brings him a weapon that can kill the one responsible for all of this chaos, Lilith herself. She brings it to him and hands it over and says, I didn't bring it to kill you, I brought it to help you. I wanted to get you this blade whether it cost me my life or not, so you can go and kill her and finally end this. And he still takes the blade and he's like, you will be given no weapon. I will heal your wounds, at least the best I can, because once some wounds start to heal, I can't do much for them because they're already scarring. And then he takes the blade and treats her as though she's a prisoner. Like, I hate him. I hate him. And she goes, wait, are you gonna go kill Ren now? Because I came to you to help him, not for you to kill him. I came to you so you could kill Lilith because you're really the only one of us that stands a chance. Not only did I bring you a blade that could kill her, but you're the only one of us with magic other than Lilith. And he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't promise you I'll protect Ren. I can try, but if he dies, I'm not gonna feel bad for it. Like, boy, I get that he made a fucked up decision to have you drugged back to the castle in chains and whipped. But are you forgetting the hundreds of years he took Lilith's torture instead of you? Like, yes, she still tortured you, but when Ren could get in the way of it, he let her torture him nearly to death on every occasion to protect your ass. And then you say you'll try, but if he's left for dead, so be it. Like, I don't blame Ren for being scared of magic. That was his whole motivation for what he did to Grey in the first place. Yes, torturing Tayo, the 15-year-old kid, was way too far. But if Grey would have told him the truth from the beginning, that would have never happened to Tayo. So Grey is at fault for that too. Because if he would have told the truth right off the bat, Ren would have never did that, because he did say the only reason I tortured the kid was because you would not tell me the truth. And that was the only way I was going to get it out of you, because you're used to torture because of Lilith. If you would have told me the truth, that would not have happened. And, like, it's screwed up. I'm not making excuses for Ren at all. It's screwed up. Not okay. But one mistake doesn't eclipse every time he risked his life for Grey. Even knowing he couldn't die, Lilith could have stopped that at any time and killed them both. And he still was willing to take all of Lilith's torture, which was really brutal. Flesh ripped off, eyes gouged out, heart ripped out. Like, it was not your normal torture. It's not something that people could survive. And she did it over and over and over again for 100 years. Or more. I think they were stuck in the curse for like 300 and some years. But Grey's like, one bad thing you did to me, and I'm gonna let you live for dead. Like, I'm gonna let you die. Like, ooh, okay. But that's where we are, and I thought the story was really good now that I've babbled on for it for a while. I looked up if there were going to be any more books, and it said that there's not supposed to be, but the way that the book ended kind of left it open for more to happen, because it didn't necessarily leave the book on a cliffhanger, but it wasn't a full closer either. I don't really know how to explain it. There's very much room for another book to be in this series, which I would love it if there was, because I really like this story so far, even though a lot of the characters bug me. But at this point, I don't really know what Bridget would do with the series. I'm just saying she left it pretty open for a sequel to be there. Not that I'm not satisfied with the ending, but it seemed like there's potential for another sequel to happen. And I really like her writing style. It's very easy to follow, but at the same time, it doesn't treat the audience like they're stupid. Like some books that are easy to follow think that they need to spell out everything that's happening, but this book doesn't do that. And I feel like her story was very consistent throughout all 3 books, and it tied everything together nicely. And it was just an enjoyable read. And like I said, Harper is one of the most relatable characters I've ever read because I have the same cerebral palsy she does, and I'm often looked at like I'm wounded or hurt, or I have people coming up to me asking if I'm okay because I'm limping, and I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And they're like, but you're limping, and I'm like, yada yada yada, cerebral palsy, tendon didn't grow right. I explained the whole spiel. So I get where Harper is coming from, where some stuff like swordplay and stuff like that is harder for her because of her balance and because of her coordination. Everything's a little tougher. I'm not complaining or using that as an excuse for everything. I do my best at what I do, and that's all I can do. But I get where Harper's coming from when every time someone says she's broken, she's wounded, she's hurt, she's weak, I get that a lot. So that's understandable, but yeah, I think that her portrayal of cerebral palsy is amazingly well done. It doesn't make us look weak, and I think that Harper's a good character. I think that all of the characters are good characters. It's just Gray's handling of Harper in this book really irked me because of what she did for him in the other books, and that's my main complaint is his behavior, but I understand why he did it. That doesn't make it alright. And I feel like these books have been like 4.5 out of 5 this whole way through, and that's great. I love these series. If another book does crop up, I will certainly get it because she's a great writer. I absolutely like her writing, and she's just easy. Now the next one I'm going into is one that I already talked about, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. You guys know that I watch a bookish channel on YouTube called Murphy, and she talks about Brandon and specifically this series so highly. I've already started it. I'm on chapter 1 because I haven't read much of it, but so far it's not that good yet, but it's just getting the story rolling, and there are little intrigues in there, but it's too early to judge the book, so I'm not going to. And I hope it's good because I have the rest of the series as well, plus 2 more books that are off screen that you cannot see. So that's what I'm going into next. So, alright, I've been talking about books for 23 minutes now, and you guys are probably ready for me to shut up. So, I will shut up now. I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.